front choke, I'm gonna do this. First, thumbs down, I'm gonna get grips of both lapels, and like Superman, I'm gonna open up the gi. I wanna have some material to play with, right? So I'm gonna open up the gi. That's one way that I help myself hit my first grip, and the other way that I help get my first grip is that my left hand now opens the collar for my right. My left hand opens for my right, and my right hand's gonna go in and not close, actually. So I'm actually gonna put my hand in and not close it. It does help if it's out of the back of her belt too here, so I might do that to open it up. But then I'm just in here like this. And I'm as deep as I can get. Okay, so still no grip yet. The other hand, I'm gonna find her lapel somewhere underneath my arm. And then I'm gonna actually, the good thing about doing this is I can kind of ride the rail the rest of the way. Her collar will tell me where to go. I'm not gonna be blindly reaching in and hoping I get inside and then there's a bunch of friction. I slide right along the gi. And now I have two open hands back here. Before I close them, which I am gonna do, I am gonna close my grips, but before I close them, I'm gonna push the material about an inch off the back of her neck. So I'm just gonna turn a little again. And I'm not gonna grab, which makes maybe tight material tighter. I'm gonna make tight material looser by pushing it off the back of her neck. So 1, 2 hands, push and close, and now I'm nice and deep. And from here I can turn my palms up. It's terrible. I'm straightening my wrists. You don't want to finish a choke like this. This is not like the best angle. Not most comfortable for my wrist and not best to hit a choke. A straight wrist is the best to hit any choke with. All the chokes are going to be better with a nice straight wrist. So it was Superman, left opens for my right, open hand. Second hand goes under, and you can ride the lapel. That's a really nice way to get back here. And when I get back here, I punch it off the back of her neck first. Then I'm going to turn my wrists up. My hands, I should say, up so that I have two straight wrists. And the other analogy I've heard that might help you remember is, I believe Kira Gracie taught a seminar where she said, okay, ladies, after you get your grips, look at your pretty nails, like as if you're gonna look at your nails. And it's true, I can't see my fingernails at this angle and I can see them at this angle. So even though that was for a ladies seminar, I really think that that's a great mnemonic. Then I look at my pretty nails, it's already bad. I could tap her here probably. But the next movement is sort of casting my wrists. And you can think of casting wrists two ways. One, like I'm casting a fishing line. The other analogy you can use from this point in the move is that I want to take the inch of material between my fingers here behind her ponytail, and I want to rip it there. That's where I want to rip open the gi. So when I start pulling that apart, what it does, when I pull apart here but material doesn't move, it pulls my wrist bones together. 1, 2. Open hand, open hand. I'm going to punch it off the back of her neck to close it. Look at my pretty nails, and now I'm going to cast or rip the material behind the head and bring her head to my chest. A reverse choke, I'm just going to change the angle of one of the hands. Is going to be different, the second hand. So I'm going to open this. Again, when I open this, don't think across and out. Think about all this material bound up in the belt, and just get it out of there. So I'm going up and out of the belt. That belt is my problem because it's keeping it tight. And then I open and I pass the first hand in. Same thing. I'm at the back of the neck. I'm tag deep, or as deep as I can get. And now we're going to say for some reason this space is blocked. So I'm going to opt to do a reverse choke. She might be blocking it. Something might be in the way. That's okay. So what I'm going to do for a reverse choke is I'm actually going to take a step over here so I can see. And she has a ponytail. That's actually like a nice landmark for me. My hand's back there. Her ponytail's back there. I want to see that. Whatever's behind her head, I want to see. And then I'm going to, with my palm toward her cheek, I'm going to put my thumb in. So my thumb is turned over upside down. So this, I can see the hole I'm going for because I took a step to the side. Now I'm going to put palm parallel to her cheek. I'm going to put my thumb in as deep as I can. Same thing, I'm punching the material off. One way to think about this material thing that we're doing is, if I just put this in and grab, my hands are like 4 or 5 inches apart. If I punch it off, I am also not just pushing backwards, I am also trying to bring them closer together. So first hand's in. I look, put this one in, and I'm trying to get even deeper here. And now I look at the pretty nails on the one side, and I'm kind of doing the opposite on the other. Kind of rolling this one down. So I'm doing opposite things with the two sides. I bring her head to my chest, and we should be getting the same finish. So it's 1, 1, 2, and this goes nice and deep. Now, if I try to do this, this is going to be a bad choke. It really is better if you take a look, you turn your thumb in so that you're, a car on two wheels, you're coming right in here, and then grab the material when you punch it off. And this one's rolling down to put the wrist bone in contact with the neck. The other one's rolling up. So from here, I make contact with those two bones, and now it's whatever rips the material right here. Whatever rips the material apart. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so think about the material between your hands. It shouldn't be much because you just did this. And rip it apart. That will put the two wrist bones, that one and this one, into the carotids. That's really what we want. That was here, put the second one in, punch off, get my grips. And now this should be putting the wrist bones into the neck. And you should feel it on your wrist bones. I'm making contact with the wrist bones. So ask yourself, do I feel the neck on my wrist bones? And pull the head in to the finish. Two quick troubleshooting things. And one is kind of good news. Some of you are going too deep. So let me do that first. If I have otherwise set this up correctly, step two. If you did everything I said, then many of you are ending up too deep. Like, so when I do this, it's like Frankenstein here. It's like hitting the muscle on the side or like her traps. So it's uncomfortable, but not really a reason to tap. But being too deep when you roll, first of all, is less likely. You won't get everything you want, like your partner's letting you do now. But also, you can always let a little material go, and then you're right on the carotids. So you can always let a little go. It's much harder once they know two hands are in to get more material. Much harder to do that. And then I think some of you guys I saw had a hard time, once you got your grips, hard time rotating this one, right? Like getting this wrist bone against their neck. So if that's ever the case, one thing you can do is actually push some material right here. So I can actually push material with this one, and what happens is what was too tight to turn my wrist becomes looser, and now I can. And now the wrist bones are just where I need them. So just feed a little, and that's a concept you can use a lot of places, including on the first choke we did. If you ever have a grip on the collar, you're doing other things, and you want to get the second hand in, but you want to make sure it goes deep, you can always feed some material, and that's a great way to get in deep on the second hand. Let me show you one variation on the reverse choke, and that is, got my one hand in as deep as I can, but for some reason, just because of where her arm is on her material, or something's pulling her material down here, and it's just hard to get a spot for you to put your thumb in. It's definitely also possible to grab the material with, Pedro Sauer calls it your little fingers. So just that little second half of my fingers. If you can grab that here, I can still use the wrist bone on the neck here, just with a material grip. So it's not always imperative that I get my thumb in, but it's great when you can get the thumb in. This is just putting your thumb in a hole, and then I get my grip, I feed myself some material, I can turn it. If you cannot because her lapel is being pulled down by something else in the mix, then just get a grip with your little fingers. There's usually, because you have a grip with this hand, there's usually some kind of wrinkle worth of material here, and then you just grab it and you can finish right there. I just want to talk about what is different when we do this in guard. The first thing that we run across that is a little bit different when we're on the ground versus when we're standing, a little bit different, is I'm part of why her collar won't move. I have a closed guard on her, so I'm part of the reason her collar won't move. So that's why I don't think that's enough. I don't think pulling sideways is enough. You have to think about the fact that you're pulling out of not only her belt, but my own guard. So when I pull up, I'll even open my legs for a second. My legs go, and that frees some material. Now I have a ton of stuff to work with. That's really good. So that's number one when you're in the guard. Number one sort of difference. The second difference is strategically, if I can get one hand in nice and deep, I might have to hang out for a while. Okay? I'd like her to forget that I put my hand in her collar. So strategically, when you put the first one in, this is another good reason to do something you've already been doing, which is leaving your hand open. So, it's hard to miss this. I'm pulling on it just because my fist is closed. It feels like, she can feel me engaging, and it's going to bring her attention to it too. So and she's going to start dealing with it. But if I just put my hand in here and I'm touching other stuff and I'm moving, like, she might forget it's there long enough for me to hit the second hand, right? I want her to forget. So when I put it in, don't be bumping into their neck too much. Don't grab material and pull on it and pull them down. Yes, It'd be nice if they were closer for that second hen. But don't get it by pulling them down. Get it because they forgot or because you have some other distraction. Okay, strategically, this is how to like sort of maybe actually hit it. So I put this first hand in. I have the littlest grip between here and here on her lapel so that I keep the depth, whatever depth I got, but I am not pulling on it. Okay? So I have a little connection here, and it's okay even to sit up. You know, if she's sitting on her haunches, which she is now, it's okay to sit up and to go for something where I start seated up. So don't think you have to have impossibly long arms, but that you have to, because this is also telling her something. Like, I can hang out here. She might think I want a bump sweep in a second. She might think I'm looking at this as a Kimura. For hands on me, hands are on me. She might think she has plenty to keep me away. Hands are on my belly, like pushing away. Yeah, and she does have some good distance. But I mean, if I can get a look at the second hand, I might put that in, whether it's a front choke or a reverse choke. Okay, so play around a little bit from here with those few things. Number one, kick open when you do this, just so that you release a little bit of material. Number two, put the hand in, and be loose. And number three, try being up on your elbow. That's okay to do. She might have the idea that I'm trying to do other things, and I might get a look at the second hand. And you'll get faster and a better time at like looking at for when to put the second hand in. But let's have you guys experiment with those three things. So I'm going to give you something of a tricky setup, something that people see coming a little bit less. It starts the same, where I'm going to give myself the material to work with. And this time, I'm going to put my thumb on the same side in the collar. So this doesn't start as what looks like a cross choke, although it ends as one. I'm going to slide my thumb in, and I'm going to kind of break her posture with it. So I'm not holding her head. I am putting my thumb in the gi, and I'm just kind of holding her down here. Now I'm going to chase that hand, same side. So I have two hands on one side, on this side. The thumb was in, kind of using this to break posture. This hand's going to come in, just like it did on our first choke. And if ever I get the opportunity, sometimes by pulling down and side bending, I can get her to pull her own head out of that space. So she sits up for posture, and it winds me right into a nice cross choke. Actually, the second cross choke that we did. So one more time. Started with the thumb on the same side. So I don't start crossed, I end crossed. I'm going to sort of break her posture down a little bit. And now I can chase that hand on the same side with this one. And I do want it as deep as I can. And I'm going to pull down, and I'm making it so there's a skylight over there, like a space where she can pull her head up. But when she does, I'm perfectly set up for a regular cross choke. If it helps you guys, let's do this. Let's start in the second choke that we did. Okay, but not applying pressure yet, but just get the grips where you would have got them on the reverse choke, and then she'll duck under it. And now you know where to put your thumb. Okay. So you can reverse engineer this so that you always know where to put that first thumb. And now she ducks it again, and of course it's perfect because we just started perfect. So you can do that if you like. Put both hands in.